Fresh sauce on the board.
Bucky's, Bucky's. Let's take a trip and get some gas at Bucky's, Bucky's, Bucky's. It's time to see the beaver come on.
Beef jerky. Barbecue. Beaver nuggets.
Welcome back, everybody, to PBL. We are on week 5, which is the first week of the playoffs. I am Brent Lias. I'm taking over your hosting duties this week while Josh is out doing his vacation in Cancun. And with me today, I have my Bucky Bowl brother, Santiago. Santi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Getting ready for some Buckies. Obviously I'm going to go on the trip, but I do not plan on driving because I'm never going to be Sacco in this league.
Well, we will see about that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to start with the Cancun Bowl, which is Reed and Josh. This is Reed's second year in a row being in this matchup. What do you think about that?
I think it's time for Reed to kind of reevaluate his priorities in life because being okay with the Cancun Bowl is not okay. He's okay with mediocrity. He's okay with going to Cancun every year. Not good.
Anything on Josh, who wanted this outcome this year after 3 years of being commissioner?
No, it's a shame. We got people celebrating being mediocre in this league. They deserve to go to Galveston. Like Charles Barkley said, they didn't even go to Cancun. Go to Galveston and now dirty water.
All right. Do you want to make a pick in this game?
Yeah, I hope they both lose. Bang
Which,
style. Blow up the stadium, blow up the league. All their players, none of them play. I hope the
and
Packers and Dolphins both miss the playoffs just because they're happy at the Cancun Bowl.
which could happen because both teams are on the fringe. I think the Dolphins are outside looking in, and the Packers, I think, are the 7th spot in the NFC.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm picking. I'm picking the Packers don't make the playoffs. The Dolphins don't make the playoffs. It's going to be a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. So the division rivals both win the divisions and the conference.
all right. Matchup number 2. So we're going to start with the very first playoff matchup, and that's going to be John versus Hooley, the Dade City battle.
The Battle of Pasco County. Obviously, this battle goes down to who knows what a paleontologist is or a pterodactyl. I forget what the joke is between those two. I know it's a P word, but looking at these rosters, Hooley had such a good team, but something about his roster this week just isn't there. He's not projected many points, but we all know projections on ESPN are the worst. They're awful. They projected me to be the best team preseason. As we saw, my team was a pack of ass. Looking at these lineups, obviously you have Joe Burrow. He throws for about 900 yards a game at this point, so I love that. Besides that, though, kind of don't like anyone else on John's team. I'm lying. He has Josh Jacobs, which sucks. I just said I hope the Packers lose because I hate that they're content with the bowl, which means I need them to lose because we need Seattle in the playoffs. But you also have Puka, which is always going to be great. And then over there for Hooley, you got Baker, who's going to throw for about 600 against the Chargers, and Saquon with a tough matchup. But I have Saquon in a different league, and I need Saquon to do good. So overall, I like this matchup. It's a good one, but I do think the former Pasco County John Agnello pulls this one off.
Going back to Santi's team, to Hooley's team, you mentioned that his team started out hot, and I think that was really because Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans were really hitting their stride. And then Evans had that hamstring injury, and then with the Godwin injury, he's been throwing Sterling Shepard, rookie Jalen
Jalen
McMillan.
McMillan. Yep.
So he hasn't had his full array of weapons, which I think has brought down Baker Mayfield. And then, Brock Purdy this year's kind of been hit or miss. He's had some good games, had some bad games. Kind of depends on the defenses that he's playing, which this week he's playing the Rams. So, I'm expecting that game to be a shootout. And then the big hitter on Hooley's team, Saquon Barkley, he's RB1 on the year, averaging 30 points.
Oof.
Yeah, so it is kind of tough betting against that. And also, James Conner has good matchups, not only this week, but for the playoffs. So that actually might help Hooley out. Now,
Yeah.
John on the other side, he is the hottest team coming into the playoffs right now. He had that nail biter versus Reed coming down on Monday night with the Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase long touchdown, which saved him. Brees Hall, I don't think he plays this week, so we'll have to see how John adjusts there. Right now the projections still show Brees playing, and that's kind of helping John's 197. Looking at his bench, he could go Pacheco or Stevenson. Both are solid options. I kind of lean Pacheco in that one though.
Yeah.
And then his two best players, Puka and Nico. They've been banged up all year, but they're starting to hit their stride now that they're back. I think Puka's wide receiver 2 since returning from injury. And he just had a crazy game against a pretty tough defense in the Bills. So I'm gonna stick with the hottest player right now, and I think John advances to the second round.
Same page.
All right, moving on to our second playoff matchup of the week: Winston versus Midlou.
We got Winston versus Midlou. We got Midlou, who name says it all. He's mid,
Yeah.
Cowboys fan. Then we got Winston, who ironically is the Cowboys of this league. So I don't know if that makes Lou a Winston fan or not. So Winston and Lou, let us know how that works because you are the Cowboys. You haven't won since the Obama administration, and you won't let us forget, even though we're all. I think the last time Winston won, we had the iPhone with the home button on the screen.
He
You
did.
actually click an actual home button, so time to move it up. But looking at these matchups, obviously Jalen Hurts is gonna suck because there's no chemistry in Philly now. Even though they're like 11-2, they're somehow beefing because that's what good locker rooms do, I guess. So the Eagles suck. So much like Winston's locker room, they're kind of imploding on themselves. Um, it's funny you have two Giants on the roster because the Giants may be the most two pack of ass team in the league, but somehow you only have the two guys on that team that are pretty decent. So I guess that's good. You got Zay Flowers, which again is playing against the Giants. You have a lot of players in that one specific game. And then over on Lou's side, he still somehow has Quentin Johnston in his lineup. That guy fucking stinks. He has Westbrook, whatever his last name is. He had that one catch a couple weeks ago, and I guess that helps him out. James Cook, I don't know. James Cook looks pretty good, looks better than Dalvin at some points. But of course, he has Josh Allen, which is the big deal. Josh Allen is just a fucking monster. But after two consecutive great games, can he really go over three against that Detroit team? Probably. I mean, it's going to be a shootout. That's game of the week. But with all that said, I do think Winston takes this win because Mid-Lou cannot pull out the win in the playoffs.
I do think Lou kind of blew all of his points last week on me, dropping, I think he had 246, 248.
Yep.
He got a top 3 ever performance from Josh Allen at the quarterback position. He got career games from Sam Darnold and Jordan Addison. I did go back and check for both of them, and it was their career games versus me. So you love that. I think one of the underrated aspects of this matchup is the trade that these guys made earlier in the year. Lamar Jackson for Kyron Williams. I'm going to be curious to see, because there's no better way to tell who wins that trade based off who wins this game.
True.
So it's going to be interesting. Like you said, Winston's got a lot of players in that Baltimore Giants game. I do expect Lamar to have a good game. Malik Neighbors has cooled off. He's been banged up since getting that concussion. Now he's got a hip flexor. He's actually been wide receiver, I think it's 28 since the injury happened. So he hasn't been as great as he was to start the year. So I do think that's going to hold Winston back. He's not very deep at the wide receiver position. And I actually think his best wide receiver is Juwan Jennings.
That's a rough wide receiver one for sure.
Yeah. So, but then he is playing Lou, who relies on career games to get to the playoffs. If he loses this week, he'll be stuck in that 5-6 game for the rest of the season, which is right on par for who he is in this league. So I think Winston gets it done. Being a former champion, I'm going to take Winston.
All right. Same page again.
All right. And moving on to why we're all here, the Sacco Bowl.
The only game that matters this week, gentlemen.
That has a consequence this week. No one else cares if you win or lose your playoff game. At least you made the playoffs.
Right.
So you want to start for the Bucky Bowl?
Yeah. So obviously you got the Bucky's Bowl. Since this is our great punishment brought to us by Carlos and Josh, shout out you two for this phenomenal punishment we have going on for us. Oh man, like Reed says, you get us in a day with your friends and go get some Buckies. Whoa, life sucks. But in this bowl, obviously, I made this bowl game because my first six picks were
Rough.
awful. Took Travis Etienne as my second pick, and that guy fucking stinks.
Yeah.
I don't even blame him. I blame Jacksonville. It's just a terrible organization. They just really represent what's wrong with the state of Florida. Everything that's wrong with Florida can be represented by Jacksonville. And so I blame it on them. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's just really good, but somehow his quarterback hates him. So somehow Trey McBride's looking like prime Gronk out there, even though you got a fucking
Minus the
beast at
touchdown.
wide receiver, minus the touchdowns. Because he's got like 100 yards every game. Every time I look at Trey McBride or I'm looking at the Cardinals play, Trey McBride's the only guy getting targets, or the other guy who's dating Sophia Smith's boyfriend. Shout out women's soccer. But on my team, I do have Jordan Love, which I did say the Packers are going to lose. So I think he's going to put up like 600 yards, but lose to Seattle, lose a high scoring game. And I got Bo Vick, obviously. I totally plan on him being good, 30-year-old rookie. Devontae Adams figured it out last week, and they played Jacksonville, a terrible organization. He's going to have another good one. And of course, the only reason I'm going to win this game is because I have Bucky Irving. So Bucky is going to send you to Bucky's himself.
Do you think Bucky plays this week?
He has to. It's for the Bucky Bowl. He has to play.
I mean, that makes sense. So I'm assuming you're taking yourself?
Absolutely. I'll never compete against myself.
Do you want to provide any comments on my roster?
Yeah, you have AJ Brown as the receiver one, and him and Jalen are beefing. So I think Jalen's going to say, fuck you, no targets for AJ Brown. So Devontae Smith will actually go for about 420 targets, and
wow.
Saquon will get everything else. But of course, you have David Montgomery, and I think it's going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs type week because Carlos is on a bye. So it'll give all the touches to Jahmyr. So they use all those points. Then next week, since you'll be on the way to Bucky's, that's when David Montgomery will have his big game.
Okay.
And then everyone else, Cooper Rush, they play Carolina. They're good now, the Carolina Reapers. And since, the Cowboys have a coach on the hot seat and they're playing the Carolina Reapers, they're going to get beat like 30-7 by Bryce Young and the boys. And Cooper Rush will throw like 4 picks. And yeah, that's about it. Your team sucks. I hate your team. Kyler Murray, fuck him. He sucks. Waddle, he's good. Sucks. Yeah, I guess you have Chase Brown, but he won't do nothing either. So yeah, your team's going to lose by like 40.
Oh, bold prediction. We're both here in the Bucky Bowl. We kind of got here, different ways. You've had the injuries. CMC's been injured on and off, more off than on. Jordan Love got injured to start the year. ETN, you could, I guess, blame it on the injuries. He did get a little banged up to start the year. Maybe he's not 100%. Now, me, on the other hand, I swung and missed. And I told Josh after our draft, I'm either winning the league or I'm going to be in Sacco based on how this draft went. I knew it was a bold strategy. It didn't pan out. I went 0 RB. And, Pollard was good. Solid pick.
Yeah, has his games.
Yep. Chase Brown, it took 2 months and it took Zach Moss to get injured, but we got there. And then, JSN, Winston's been on me about JSN, but he hasn't really been consistent until DK Metcalf got hurt.
Yeah.
So, again, that took 2 months to happen. The rest of my picks were all boom bust picks, and they all busted. So we'll be back next year. Looking at the matchups, though, for this week. Kyler's got a good matchup versus New England. They've been struggling against quarterbacks. I do think this is the week that Trey McBride scores his first receiving touchdown. Now's the time for it to happen. If it happens after this week, it doesn't matter because all the important games are already done.
Yep.
Fun fact, I actually traded for Montgomery specifically for this matchup for this week. I started off, 1-4, I think it was when I made that trade.
Something like that.
So, I went and I found a running back who had a solid matchup. And, I was like, Montgomery, at the time, the Bills were 32nd versus the Rush. Now they're, I think, 30th, so it's still solid.
Yeah.
I am kind of regretting that Montgomery, the Monty trade with Josh Jacobs in there. Jacobs, 5 touchdowns in 3 weeks?
He's good.
Yeah, that one kind of hurts. Oh, well. Now you're on the A.J. Brown 0 target side. I'm on the
0 targets.
I'm on the A.J. Brown. The last time he complained about his targets, he went 11 catches, 153 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Also, coincidentally, that was also versus the Steelers. So So maybe we get some deja vu there. Um, Waddle is showing us questionable now. That's new. When I put him in the lineup this morning, he was not questionable. And I'm actually sitting Drake London, who you gave to me.
Yeah, that was our
And,
trade.
yeah, for our trade. So I'm going Waddle over Drake London just because Kirk Cousins has sucked.
He's been bad. Yep.
He's been really bad. And then I'm gonna ride with my two late breakouts, JSN and Chase Brown in the flexes. I think they both have solid games, even though JSN has a tough matchup. And looking at your team, Jordan Love's been hit or miss this year. It kind of depends on how Josh Jacobs goes. If Jacobs gets those 3 touchdowns, Jordan Love's not going to do too much. Bo Vick has been amazing. I've sent you a couple trade offers throughout the year to try and
Oh
get him.
yeah.
I would say he's a top 5 waiver pickup this year. ETN, trash.
So bad.
So bad, so bad. Bucky, we'll see if he plays. Right now, I would say it's 50-50. You're going to be hurting if he doesn't play, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Play. I have no one to play
No
running
one.
back.
So you're going to be starting one running back. Marvin Harrison, he's actually alternating touchdown weeks. So he did not score a touchdown last week. So you know what that means this week.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. I mean, granted, I'll be getting some of those points as well. But if they're longer touchdowns, wide receivers get more points on those plays than quarterbacks do. So that would go in
Yep.
favor. Devontae Adams, I am expecting a big week from him just because they're playing the Jaguars. They suck. But, with the Jets officially eliminated from the playoffs after last week, maybe they kind of shut him down a little bit.
Just one last Rodgers Adams hoorah before Rodgers retires.
All right. You got any backup plan for Njoku, who's questionable on your end at tight end?
No, no, I don't have Jake Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson. Okay, so that kind of cancels out my Cooper Rush.
Yeah, he's there. He gets targeted sometimes.
All right. And actually, I think your biggest question mark on who could actually pull out the win for you is JMO.
Yeah.
The Bills Lions is projected the highest score of the year on the over under. I think it's 54.5 right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's also in Detroit, so they're playing in a dome. It's going to be perfect conditions.
Yeah, he gets a nice little slant pass, goes for 70 yards like he sometimes does.
I am kind of expecting, 4 catches, 150 yards, and 2 long touchdowns for him. Just with how my year's gone, I could totally see that happening. And actually, he's tying Amon-Ra for target percent and first read percent.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's actually a solid start. I do think our game is going to be closer than the projection has it. Right now it's got me about 180 and you about 155. I think it's a little bit closer. I think I pull out the win by 5 points.
Yeah, it's just a shame that, George Pickens is hurt because I was writing him all year and he
You
got
definitely
hurt.
held on to him all year because I definitely hit up your phone a couple times for him.
Oh yeah, I believe in Pickens always and forever.
Well, we'll have to see if he comes back next week. Maybe he'll propel you into the 7-8 game.
Maybe draft order.
Draft order matters. That's right. Reed will be picking 10th next year.
Yes, he stinks.
He does. All right. So we're going to recap really fast. In the Cancun Bowl, no one cares. We hope both your teams don't make the playoffs in real life.
Yep.
John versus Hooley, we agree. We're going John. Winston versus Mid-Lou. We're both going Winston just based off pedigree alone. And then in the Bucky Bowl, we're each taking ourselves. I've got myself. You're going with yourself. May the best man win.
Yes, I'll be eating beaver nuggets while watching all of the games on Sunday.
And I'm going to try to hit up Buffalo Wild Wings. I haven't been that much this year. Try and get my B-Dubs mojo back.
That's what you need. Take
All right.
Leo, get some B-Dubs, give him some cheese curds, and you'll be good to go.
Exactly. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot here, okay?
Okay.
All right. Give me your championship game prediction and then the winner of that game.
My championship game prediction is going to be John versus Ryan, but John wins it in a landslide.
John in a landslide versus Ryan. Okay. Just make it even. I'm also going to take John making the championship game. I believe it would be his second appearance. And I'm going to have Winston making another appearance back-to-back years, but losing back-to-back years as well.
Oh, he'll convert from the Cowboys to the Bills.
Yep. Well, I'm already the Bills having 4 straight championship losses.
Oh, good point.
So he'd be more of the Giants.
I guess. I can't think of people who lose the Super Bowls that often. I know he's not the Bucks. They don't lose in championship games.
Niners, maybe.
Niners could be a good one. Yeah, losing to the
Niners
Ravens, losing to
they
the
lost the Ravens
Chiefs.
and the Chiefs. So those were their last 2 appearances, and they also haven't won since what, the 80s?
Yeah, that's a good one. Winston,
Yeah.
you're the 49ers of this league.
There we go.
You're still the Cowboys for now, but you'll become the 49ers if you make it.
The difference between the Cowboys and the Niners is the Niners actually make it to the championship game. The Cowboys don't.
Yeah, it's all marketing.
All right. And with that, Santi, any closing thoughts for the league?
No, just so y'all know, I took an off year this year. I blame it on the Los curse. So, obviously Los skipped on a second punishment. No matter how he tries to turn it, you did skip on it. And since he skipped on it, the fantasy gods did try to punish him. But since I helped him coach baseball, they put the punishment on me instead of Los. So fantasy gods, tighten the fuck up because I shouldn't have been punished. I did my job. I do what I do. I don't mock you all. I play to win. Get back on Carlos next year. 0-16. Detroit Lions style.
All right. My closing thoughts. I'll probably see you guys back on here for the very last podcast in championship week with Josh. Until then, good luck to everybody, except Mid-Lou. We hope you stay in that 5-6 spot. Know your role.
2 thumbs down.
And with that, peace.
Peace.
Buc-ee's, Buc-ee's. Let's take a trip and get some gas at Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, Buc-ee's. It's time to see the beaver come on.
Beef jerky.